Welcome back to Super Mario 64. We got another star, 56 to actually. So we're still in the sand level, dry course everywhere, blah blah blah.
I love how, they clearly want to have a sand texture, but the best that they can accomplish in a level this large is, flat color on a gradient. um,
One thing that I actually am surprised I'm not bothered by more when going back to Mario 64 is how blocky everything looks. I feel like it is something that is very true. And in terms of blocky, I mean, almost all of the architecture is square, not just low poly, but literally almost everything you run and jump on is square or triangular.
I think that's a bit of the kind of the old game charm to it. Honestly, it's similar to how, Super Mario Brothers 1 on the NES is, just made of colored squares, and you can clearly tell that.
Yeah, it's definitely an aspect that has aged better here in Super Mario 64 than it has in, say, the Tomb Raider games, which I'm now going to mention in an unflattering context, because one of the things that makes Tomb Raider gameplay go is how the environment is constructed around basically a grid work of equally sized squares, and you always judge your jumps by how many of those equally sized squares could fit in the gap between you and the next platform. So you'll do a certain kind of jump from a certain number of squares of distance away, and that's how you know your jump will land. But
Tomb Raider has its own measuring unit.
But it kind of makes the area, the level design look artificial once you understand what to look for. It's a bit like how
it's like these platforms were built for me.
Yeah, it's a bit like how in modern games you always instantly know that that a specific climbing section of a wall is a climbing section of a wall, because it follows that pattern that you expect to see from the 90 billion Prince of Persia rip-off climbing sections in every game ever nowadays. Have you played Horizon Zero Dawn?
Horizon Zero Dawn has Prince of Persia platforming in it?
It has well, every game has Prince of Persia platforming in it these days, but it has it has those same ledges that you need to climb, the kind of thing you'd see in Uncharted. Or
I compare it to, how in old cell animation there was always the one thing that sticks out where the character's clearly going to pop out from, or there's going to be an explosion.
It's kind of conspicuous bush.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that, where it's like everything's built into the environment except for the one thing you're supposed to use, which is clearly out of place because it's interactable.
Yeah. So in gaming there's a homogeny to the stuff that you're supposed to use to climb around on. And I think the only game series that has ever escaped that has been Assassin's Creed, where you're supposed to be able to climb on but just about everything. So you don't need that neat and tidy line of ledges with a place where you're clearly and obviously supposed to scramble up to a ledge directly above it and continue shimmying sideways.
I mean, in Spider-Man, you can climb on anything you want.
Well, yeah, but he just sticks to flat surfaces, so that's not what I mean. Handholds, basically. Where, well, you all know what I'm talking about. I shouldn't. I don't feel like I really need to explain this. But even Tomb Raider has that going on now, where there are ledges that fit that Prince of Persia mold.
Well, nowadays you'll likely just know it's something to interact with when you get a button put next to it. It's not even a matter of whether it's obviously a climbable wall. It's whether or not, I can press X here or triangle.
I feel like
interact.
In general in games, you're much more, or at least for me, I don't know about other people, I've kind of been trained to look for UI stuff over in-game, organic sort of level cues.
Yeah.
For many games, one example from something recent I can give is in Among Us, I tend to see the report body button before I see actual body on the ground, which says I don't know, says something about me.
Yeah,
probably. I don't know.
There's a reason that whenever I play The Witcher 3, I turn the mini map off, and that's because I think I think games of that type are more enjoyable if you're looking at the environment and not at what your UI is telling you about your environment.
But by the way, it's time for Nintendo's favorite boss idea.
Oh no.
I mean, you gotta hand it to them. It really does stand the test of time.
This was much more. It was much more impressive back in the day, though, because this is an interesting thing to do with simple shapes. It's the kind of thing you might make if you were playing around with a bunch of Legos, which is not an arbitrary comparison. Hey, did you know Metal Gear Solid had a lot of its level design done with Lego sets?
You probably could make all of Shadow Moses in Legos.
There's this funny story. I don't know if it was Kojima or someone else on his team who was designing levels for Metal Gear Solid at home using Lego sets, and their kid looked into the room and told his wife that he was playing around.
It's Otacon. Otacon would definitely be the one to be making Shadow Moses with Lego
apparently
sets.
this led to a brief bit of domestic stress because the wife didn't understand that he was actually using the Legos as part of his job. Thought he was just messing around.
Why not just say I'm using this to make stuff for my video?
Well,
game?
because
Well, she probably wouldn't believe him, is the thing.
yeah, it was early days. Like, video games weren't as strong a part of the public consciousness as you would think. And of course, some traditionally minded people, and this was true in Japan as well, would have looked at the occupation of game designer as not a particularly valid job. And, you know, it's easy to dismiss that mindset as being snooty, but it's understandable at a point in time when video games were so
At a
new.
point in time, yeah.
It was also at the tail end of where game teams would be like 10, maybe 15 people tops.
Yeah.
I have to imagine that the game team sizes that we have now must seem monstrous to anybody who first started in the industry.
Well, again, but that only applies to like AAA.
Yeah,
companies.
like back,
Like there are still plenty of indie
Like,
or
the
small
Among Us devs
time
are what, like
developers.
4 people?
like
Yeah.
like way back in the day. I'm pretty sure like the original Ultima games were made by like one guy, maybe two.
A lot of old PC games, especially, were made by one person.
Yeah.
yes.
So
I think Doom was only made by 2. Like I think the OG Doom was only 2 people.
Yeah, Donkey Kong was 3 people.
Yeah, Mario, Donkey Kong, and Pauline.
Yeah. Haha, very funny.
Okay. It took you a while to get that though.
oh boy.
Does Donkey Kong count as a person due to the fact that he's an animal?
Wait, oh, wow, that's amazingly specious for you, Ryan. Just 'cause he's a-
I'm not comfortable with this conversation.
Jeez, Ryan, you keep falling into the lava like, whoa.
Yeah, just like you keep on falling into these uncomfortable topics we keep talking about.
I will have you know that Donkey Kong is an accomplished game developer.
I'm not a fan of the bump into a wall and get bounced back mechanic, and I'm glad they got rid of it after this game. Like,
I mean, it still kind of exists. It's not quite as like Castlevania-y, you know.
well,
where
when you jump into a wall in any game, in any Mario game after this, you slide down the wall.
I think you can still like bonk off if you're like doing a dive or something.
If you're doing a dive, yeah.
If you're doing a
but
dive, yeah.
That's not what I'm talking about. Like in Super Mario 64, if you didn't hit that wall jump button, like the instant your foot pixels
Oh, I see
touch
what you're talking about.
Yeah, you would just ricochet off the wall and miss your pixel perfect timing for the wall jump. And it
Yeah,
kind of
I agree with you there.
it kind of
Yes, I
it kind
misunderstood
of makes
what
the
you said.
wall jump as a concept a bit more of a headache than it needs to be. And
I always remember it being really finicky to pull off because of that, although maybe I'm just spoiled by modern game design.
yeah,
who
like,
knows?
you know, say what you will about Mario Sunshine from a level design or completionist standpoint, but at least it gave us slick, smooth 3D Mario controls that have stuck with us for most of the rest of the series after that.
I don't know. I feel like Mario still feels kind of stiff in Sunshine. For
Yeah,
whatever reason.
Galaxy is when they really fixed everything.
I'll disagree. I think Sunshine still controls really well.
Maybe
I mean,
this is just time.
it controls fine. It's just there's still some chinks.
No, I think it controls fine. I think it controls great. Like I don't even think it's a matter of just being fine.
The
I think it controls
absence
great.
of the long jump is certainly felt.
Yes.
But in terms of movement and the way the jumping control generally works, it's really good, and they took a lot of cues from where the game feel was in Sunshine for all the future entries. So
Maybe it's just been a while since I played it, but I remember it feeling really Mario feeling really sluggish in a lot of
that
ways.
might be collision detection that you're thinking of, which is a whole different other can of worms.
There is also the sense that I feel like Mario Sunshine tends to have less flow, and this might just be a game thing because of the hover nozzle. You can correct all of your jumps, and so because they give you this tool, I feel obliged to use it a lot. And so I feel like every jump I do, I jump and then hover over.
Well, that's your thing. Is like you're talking about, like you struggle to get a sense of flow. I think it's because of the hover nozzle that you can keep a flow up, because you can correct your jumps all the time.
I was hoping you would say you'd keep a flow because you're flowing water from the jetpack.
Oh,
But it doesn't really feel like flow. It just feels like you're just hovering. And also, hi-lo, Poly Mario.
I think, you know what? Let's compare it to, say, the double jump in Sonic Colors, where I don't think the double jump in Sonic Colors makes that game feel like it has more flow. You certainly feel like you can correct your jumps, which is good, but it doesn't make you feel like you're going from point to point any faster or more smoothly. It just kind of feels like...
Well, I don't think the hover
You can
nozzle
make
actually slows you down, though.
Sort of.
Thing. Like, when you...
you keep a
has-
relatively consistent speed, because it's not like you ever speed up when you jump.
Yeah, it's more that it's consistent with Mario's jump speed. The problem is you can get speed in other ways, and when you use the hover from that point, it's noticeably slower.
Yeah. Well, at that point, you're just sliding on the floor like an idiot.
Of course, in Super Mario
does it
Sunshine, you
everywhere.
could just dive and slide along the floor on your belly.
Yeah, but you gotta wet the ground first. Otherwise, you just get a lot of burn.
Yeah, so you spray a bunch of water in front of you and then just slide forward. It's great. You could get
It was like Bowser was doing his dash as you were dying. It looked like he was trying to save Mario from falling off.
you can get crazy good speed that way, especially if you get a slight downhill incline. In fact,
Yeah, again, I'll make the argument, like, I still think Sunshine is one of the best controlling 3D Mario games.
I mean, I feel
Just from
like
in terms of
almost
like everything,
none of them have
in terms
bad
of everything
control.
work. Yeah, that's also true. I mean, I would say 64, but
I mean, we tend to give 64
I'm also-
a pass on these things, though.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, though, this is also going into like, would I tell you to invest in 64 today if you never played a 3D Mario game? I would say no, because I don't like, unless there's. Because to me, the only selling point 64 has nowadays, and this might be contentious, but it's the nostalgia drive for it. And
like,
I'm sorry, like if you're still trying to push this game to me today, especially if we were to separate it from the 3D All Stars trilogy and it's $20, like no, like I would tell you
I'm
just
sorry,
no. Like,
the freeze frame just there, where like the results screen popped up for half a second and Ryan skipped past it. The frame it froze on was the key shrinking and Mario with the key up to his nose with his eyes shut. It was like he was sniffing the key. And like, what? Oh man,
Oh boy, it's everyone's favorite level.
I hate these
Not really.
fucking treasure chests. But
Treasure chests are the worst part in any water level.
okay, so the thing about Super Mario 64 that's especially impressive is that, considering how early this was in 3D games development, it has a really robust suite of moves that you can use to just traverse the levels. It's just really, really goddamn fun to be able to do all these different things to get around. Like, yeah, you have your jump, you have your triple jump, you have, what is it, the side somersault, the backflip,
Yeah.
You have all these different jumps, and it's interesting because not very many platformers of this time thought too deeply about how many different ways the character in the game could jump. And like the only game around this time that I can think of doing something similar is, again, Tomb Raider, because in that game,
I was like, there's not much to compare it to. That's the thing.
And in Tomb Raider's case, they were going for a different feel than this, obviously.
Yeah, it was really weird when Laura had to jump in paintings though to get to the Amazon.
I am waiting for that the Super Nintendo World in Japan to open. There was a pic in my Discord that it's a opening day for Super Nintendo World, and it's just the pic from the Peach's Lobby opening area for the theme park. And then it says day 2. There's a crack on the painting, and then there's like a little barricade next to it.
There's a little barricade on it, yeah, because everybody's gonna be doing that when they get there, fucking diving into the painting. I would like to visit it though.
I'm gonna wait for the one in.
bad.
I'm just gonna wait for the one in Florida.
We need to just make BrainScratch Goes Super Nintendo World.
Well,
Which, by the way, why is it called Super Nintendo World? It's Super Mario World.
Well, they data mined the app and found Donkey Kong stuff in it. So yes, we're data mining theme parks now.
I thought you were gonna say they data mined the park.
No, I mean they might as well have data mined the park.
Even the theme parks are not free from leaks.
I hope to God that they make a Fire Emblem themed area for the theme park. That would just be the most badass thing.
Just make a medieval knights or something.
Or just make like
I want them to bring the Kirby Cafe there so bad.
What they should do is make Garrigmach Monastery and have it be like their answer to the Harry Potter castle.
Dude, that'd be fun.
I want to go to Nintendo World so goddamn bad. Can we please get $3,000 for all of us?
And you know what?
We'll go when they open the one in Florida, and we'll room with
they can have this nightly show called 3 Houses on Ice, and it's literally Dorothea's opera about Edelgard. That would be...
Wait, what?
There's a scene in 3 Houses where Dorothea jokes about doing an opera about Edelgard.
We'll see you in a few years when we do the commentary on every ride at Super Nintendo World at Universal Florida.
And we get kicked out for bringing our laptops onto the Mario Kart ride.
No, we'll do the Melee picture of Splash Mountain.